Hi, welcome back to the Home Print Studio. You know when you've got a piece of art that you know needs something but you just don't know what? Or you really like it, it needs a little tweak but you're afraid to ruin it so you don't do anything at all? Yeah, me too. Well, in this week's video I'm going to show you how I finish my pieces of art on paper, what I do when I don't really know what to do, and figuring out when to stop, which is the hardest part after all. A lot of my work starts off as a print from a printing press in a print studio, and then it continues back at the home studio, and I use collage, drawing, and sometimes monoprint if I think it needs it. So I work on a series of prints at the same time, and that means I can kind of experiment. It makes it a bit looser, makes me less precious, and it means if one goes wrong, I've always got the others as well. So a lot of what I'm going to do today is just tiny little tweaks, little things that I can add, and that's often not actually printmaking, so very often it's drawing or collage. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, just adding those last little finishing touches, and hopefully that's going to bring the pieces together. I'm Ruth and I make videos from my tiny home print studio in Bristol, UK. I'm helping artists deepen their practice through hand printing at home. I have instant access video courses available on my website right now if you want to dive in, if this has piqued your interest. And I'm also going to be launching my 10-week hand printing happiness course in May. So if you want to join the waitlist for that, do just check out the link in the description below and you can join up for that. Right, let's get printing. So as you probably know by now, collage is my go-to really if I'm not quite sure what to do, because it just immediately adds a bit of colour. It can add some very straight lines as well, definition, which I don't always have in the print as it comes out of the press. So I'm adding here some already monoprinted tissue paper, which again is my sort of go-to for collage. So it's got gesture in it, it's got colour in it, and I think it just really brings out these pieces. So I'm using rice glue here, or nori paste as it's sometimes called. I actually cut this piece of tissue a bit too small, so I ended up sticking both pieces on right next to each other, and you can hardly tell at all now. But that's definitely my go-to for kind of fairly subtly changing something, but you can use collage to like transform a piece completely as well. And I'm covering up some of the original print here, as you can see, but I don't mind that too much. This probably came out the least best out of the printing press, so I'm happy to sort of cover up some of the print itself. I think it's worth it for the gesture and the colour that comes with the collage too. So it really becomes kind of something else really once you've added in collage, and it probably doesn't need too much more as well after this. Just making sure the edges are all down and I can get the wrinkles out. And just one last piece here. I just felt like this one was just a bit too plain, so a bit of darkness, a bit of that French ultramarine colour, and this piece just happened to have a mark on it that kind of suggests light. To me it suggests reflection, just that little subtle mark there in the middle of it. So I will probably exaggerate that as well as I finish off the piece, maybe just make that a little bit lighter even. So with this I'm adding a stamp. One of my favourite motifs is adding a sun or a moon, and I just use this little stamp to do it. So I'm just dabbing on the just off-white ink or paint and just pushing it on into that kind of rain that's coming down on the piece. It's quite subtle, but it really can finish a piece off. Just very subtly draws the eye. And just one top tip as well, that if you've slightly overdone it and it's even a bit too much for you, just put another piece of tissue over the top and essentially print some of your ink back off. And you can also, especially if you're using oil-based ink, it doesn't dry too quickly, so you can just sort of brush a little bit off as well, just to make it even more subtle. So here I'm actually going to draw into this piece. I just feel like it's all very similar marks at the moment. So if I'm drawing in, it allows me to give a bit of energy, a bit of movement. There's something in the foreground, there's something dark in the foreground, which I like. because I haven't really got anything dark down here, and I haven't got any of these lovely thin marks as well. So I'm using my charcoal pencil, which I really love because it's dark enough, it's black enough, and it's almost just silhouettes really of the grasses that would have been in front of me when I was in front of the actual scene. And you can do lots of different marks with that pencil. And my other go-to that I love drawing with is pastel. So especially obviously for putting highlights in and for putting light and reflections in. So this one, I really like the marks of the Sheen Collage, which is what most of this colour is, but it's all very dark, lots of darkness. So I'm adding in the lights and the highlights afterwards with this pastel, and I'm putting quite a lot in actually to sort of counteract all that darkness. And again, adding just a subtle bit here behind the mountains as well. And you can be really subtle with pastel, and it doesn't stick out too much with your print or printmaking. It's all of a piece really. So that's why I love pastel. And then I'm just using my colour shaper here. So this was in my other video about printmaking tools that aren't made for printmaking. I think this is really for painting, but I found it really useful for sort of blurring and mixing both ink on a print and also pastel, just to get rid of that sort of grainy effect. So again, I'm going to use a pastel here. I'm just going to exaggerate this what looks a bit like reflected light here. Just going to blend that a little bit as well. And then I just really like this suggestion of sunlight here as well. So I've just kind of been looking at what the piece suggests anyway, and then just exaggerating that a little. Great thing about pastel, of course, as well, is that it's fairly easy to get rid of if you do mess up a bit. Yeah, I quite like that. That looks like sunlight just going over the land there. Yeah, really nice. So with this one, I am going to go a little bit extreme. I'm going to crop these sides off, this one and the other one. I still like this area here, but I just feel it's going to focus the eye more and make the image make a bit more sense with these side areas taken off. I hope I'm right. I have tried this with a photograph on my phone and I thought it looked good, but this is where you have to be a little bit brave sometimes. Okay, so if I turn that back round, yeah, I think that's better. And I think I'm going to take these white areas off the bottom and top as well, because the eye just doesn't make sense of the image with those there. I want the eye to look at this to be the whitest highlight really on this piece if I can. And that's kind of often what it's about, is where's the darkest part, where's the lightest part. And actually, if what is around the image is taking away from that, then we might want to take whatever is around the image off. Okay, yeah, I'm much preferring that now as an image. I think that makes much more sense to the eye. So these are some of the images that are, I think, finished. I'm gonna let the jury out on that, because they might end up with a little bit more. But generally speaking, when I feel that it's got the right balance of colour, non-colour, dark, light, small things, big things, I mean, that's kind of what it ends up coming down to. Does the image work as an image? And And some of these I've gone basically monochrome, and that's fine, as long as it balances and it works for your eye. And then this one here, again, that quite drastic cropping down, but I think that works as an image now. You've got the gesture here, you've got really dark, you've got really light, you've got some beautiful subtle colour as well. So I'm going to say they are finished, but what I tend to do is I tend to put them into a drawer for a little while and then take them out again and just double check. And often when you take them out after a little while, you know immediately if it needs something or not. And that is what I will do with these before I completely say they're finished. I hope that's inspired you to make a few tweaks of your own to some pieces that maybe have been sitting in drawers for a little while. If you'd like to join my email list, please do. The link's in the description below. That means you get all my content straight to your inbox every month. And also lots of extra stuff, writing on art, lots of stuff about printmaking and art making, plus heads up on all new courses. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.